What's up, y'all? My hunch is this is quick, but it came to me as I was reading the responses to the um, white women DMing me about the white comedian post, in which many white women, more white women than I would have imagined, came into the post on the thread and then proceeded to do the same thing, which is tell me why, you know, Will Burr um, didn't have no business telling them about their complicity. And my point is, I'm not the place for that conversation. So there are a couple of things moving here that I want to flesh out some more. Number one is white people don't understand, because whiteness has afforded white people the opportunity to say whatever the fuck they want and do whatever the fuck they want and be wherever the fuck they want without restriction for all of their lives. White people have no internal guide about what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, and where it's appropriate and where it's not appropriate. They don't have any context around positionality and power, and the ways in which, even if it is true, even if it is absolutely 100% true, it is not necessarily appropriate for you to share your truth and all of its whatever it is with everyone, because there are contexts and conditions that have an impact on the way in which that truth is experienced by other people. And the problem with whiteness is whiteness doesn't think about the experience of other people. So what happens is you get white women who want to come and tell someone who has had significantly more structural and systemic oppression than them about how they have been systemically and structurally oppressed by the same people who have systemically and oppressed me, while they have also done that, which I've said, right? So there is a way in which whiteness does not understand its own positionality. And so in not understanding its own positionality is often just mad ass inappropriate in its sharing of things. And so I really just want to invite us. I'm inviting us often. I realize I do a lot of inviting. I want to invite us to consider that everything you share is not appropriate. Particularly what you share with marginalized people. If someone comes to you, content warning for a discussion about assault, right? Violence. Someone comes to you and they have been beat up, right? They are bloodied and beat up. And well, let's not even say someone comes to you. You come across a person who is bloodied and beat up, right? And they begin to tell you about the experiences they just had being bloodied and beat up. And then you proceed to tell them, and they're like, right, I just got robbed. They were wearing a black hat and jeans. And then you proceed to tell them, while they're bloodied and beat up, 10 years ago, a guy in a black hat beat me up too. And then you go deep into the details and all the machinations about how you got beat up 10 years ago by a guy in a black hat. While the person who is actively bloodied and beat up, and the guy with the black hat is running off down the street, the current perpetrator running off down the street, while you center yourself. That is actually the long and short of this, is that whiteness doesn't know how not to center itself. Because in that comedy special, what was being given to y'all, sorry for the eye boogers, was a discussion about harm, in the lives of people of color. And whiteness says, what about my harm? That's what whiteness does. Whiteness says, what about my harm? Because whiteness always desires to be the center of the experience. And so white womanhood is utilizing womanhood to make its whiteness the center of the experience. It's rotten, stinky tomato whiteness. It's the sneakiness of whiteness. But dressed inside an actual axis of, an axis of inequality, right? Yes, womanhood has been oppressed by patriarchy. Absolutely. And whiteness inside of womanhood has extracted every single possible privilege that it could inside of the system of patriarchy to leverage itself on the ladder of oppression above people of color. That's what it's done. And so when someone, and this is the other point, this was actually the point that I got on here to say, which is y'all need to stop looking for the perfect messenger and start looking for the perfect message. You're not going to find an irrefutable messenger. You're not going to find an unimpeachable messenger. You're not. Because everyone has harmed. I've said this before. And we keep struggling with it because we really are looking like, don't tell me nothing if you've made mistakes. Well, if that was the case, then nobody would be telling anybody anything. You would never be able to tell nobody nothing, and nobody would ever be able to tell nothing to you because everyone has harmed. So stop looking for someone who is perfect before you're willing to get the message. The messenger might be trash. That don't have shit to do with whether or not the message is right. And in the case that I shared, the message was right. And I don't care about the messenger because you're not actually here to follow the messenger. You're here to follow the message. The message is what is accurate. The message is what you can take something from. The message is useful across experience and platform and context. The messenger is not. But because we are in such a celebrity culture, because we're in such an idol culture where we are constantly looking for someone to idealize, and then we can discount everything they ever said to us when we no longer view them as pristine and pure. And then we can be like, right, I should have never listened to none of that. That's ridiculous. And it is not a way to a better world. Stop looking for idols and start looking for lessons. Is the lesson right? Fuck who said it. Is the lesson right? And if the lesson is right, be with the lesson. Get the lesson. It's not about the person. It's about the lesson. And we are regularly forgetting to be focusing on the lesson. And we let the person obscure that. And particularly when the lesson is about our own complicity, about how we up in it. So stop that. And then the last thing I'm going to say on this, and then this is my word. I'm finished. And I will delete any comments. Y'all know I just delete comments I don't like. And I say that all the time because it's my space, and I don't have to be around anything I don't like in my space. I don't have to. And particularly if the comment isn't offering me some new perspective, then I'm super done. And these comments don't be offering new perspectives. Last thing I want to say. White women, if you don't like what white men are saying, stop marrying them. How many of y'all got husbands who have these ideas and you laid up with him complaining? You got sons, who you know act this way, or are out here being patriarchal as hell in their relationships. You ain't done nothing. You got sisters married to them. You got uncles married, like nieces and all kinds of people deeply involved in the lives of white men, and somehow white men ain't different, which to me says that white women certainly, and not that you can change all white men, but are you challenging them in your homes, in your bed, in your intimate relationships? Because that's where they exist. That's the last thing I wanted to say. Bye, y'all.